Hello and welcome to The Main Straight, the official F1 in Schools podcast. I'm your host, Tom Deacon, and I welcome you back to another fabulous episode. Well, fingers crossed, we haven't met the guests yet, but if all of the other episodes are anything to go by, well, I know for a fact you are going to be in for a treat. Which reminds me, do check out our previous episodes. We've had Gary Anderson, Javier on, and our latest episode, well, this one will be the latest, but you know what I mean. The last one we did was with Paul Monahan, one of the engineers at Oracle Red Bull Racing. So we always get on top guests, and in the future episodes, I already know we've got some superb guests to help you. And that's what this podcast is all about. It's helping you to get a better understanding of the competition. And you may even take some absolute golden nuggets to use in your car setup, basically any of the aspects that you will be judged on in F1 in schools. So today, what have you got in store and coming your way? Well, we are going to be talking about computational fluid dynamics, CFD for short. If you're currently competing in F1 schools, you'll probably know what that is, but for many, you might not know. And this is where we have invited Susan Coleman, Senior Marketing Manager and Academic and Startup Programs from Ansys, and Vishal Ganore, Academic Project Manager, to be our guest today to talk about CFD. They're a partner of F1 in School, Ansys, and they have got some absolute gems for you. And with CFD, understanding it can enable simulation of variable factors such as air pressure, temperature, turbulence, for minute bodywork and component details to be examined and analysed for impact in the world of F1 and even your car. So, as I take a breath, what are we waiting for? Let's welcome our guests. So, Susan, Vishal, I always start the podcast, The Main Straight, the official F1 in Schools podcast, by getting our guests to introduce themselves. So, Susan, could I start with you? What is your job role at Ansys and what do you do?
Sure. So Susan Coleman, I've been at Ansys for about 8 years, and I am the director of our academic and startup programs. So I am lucky enough to get to work with lots of internal and external partners to help bring our software to students around the world. And then on the startup side, very similarly, help put our software in the hands of early to mid-stage startups.
That's incredible. And Vishal, what about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Vishal Ganore. I have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and master's degree in fluid and thermal engineering. Working with Ansys since 10 years. Currently acting as an academic project manager at Ansys. My role is 100% dedicated on academic program, where I handle several academic initiatives. For example, I manage academic partnership program, including student competitions, making sure that we have our presence in all important student competitions, and also making sure that our partner have licenses in place. Also managing student products and involved in generating different simulation learning sort of courses for our academic users.
Wow. I mean, it's great jobs to start off with straight away, because I'm sure some of our competitors will be interested in what you guys do in a day-to-day. And both of those job titles that you have, very busy by the sounds of it, Susan. Do you ever get a moment to relax, rest, recover?
Well, I actually have a 6-year-old too, so the answer is no, because whether I'm at work or at home, there's always a long list of things to do. But no, I love my job. The great thing about it is busy. Ansys is a very growing company, so the list of opportunities typically extends beyond what we're capable of doing. So we're always prioritizing those things to the top of the list that are most important and impactful. But it's all great and fun stuff. So I love being busy, and I love every day kind of having a new list of things to do that differ from the day before. It keeps it exciting. And it's also a very rewarding role, I would say. Sometimes when it is stressful and it feels overloading, you see the impact that it has and the cool things that students are doing with our software. And it really is, rewarding, and it makes you feel like you're doing something that matters.
I like that as a kind of tip for our competitors, put the most important things right to the top of that list. That's a great little nugget of advice. So I'm taking that on board straight away. And interesting enough, as I started this podcast, I said, a lot of people might not know what computational fluid dynamics is, CFD for short. So I feel like the two best people to answer that question for anyone who's not up to speed with it, can you describe it, what it is, and the benefits it brings to people in their lives, Vishal?
Yeah. Susan, should I take that question?
Yes, please do.
Okay. Okay, sure. So CFD stands for Computational Fluid Dynamics. Basically, it is a branch of fluid mechanics where fluid flow governing equations are solved with the help of computers. These governing equations are typically written in the form of partial differential equations. So computer take those equations, discretize them, convert them into mathematical expression, and solve them numerically. So to make things easy to understand, let me give you an example. Imagine CFD like a computer game where researchers and scientists are playing with different fluid flow conditions. They can choose the working fluid as air, or change the working fluid from air to water or water to kerosene. They can also change fluid velocity or temperature and see the effect of these parameters on the performance of the prototype they are testing. And the cool thing is, instead of using physical models, we are using computer models to test the product and see how it performs in different, the fluid flow conditions. So in summary, CFD helps engineers to efficiently design their products virtually, basically, without having to manufacture them first. So certainly we are saving a lot of time and, the cost here. In case of F1 in school competition, CFD helps students to improve aerodynamic performance of their car.
Yes, and after not that long ago, the UK national finals in Sheffield and Rotherham, where you actually displaying some of the stuff that Ansys does there, a lot of the competitors said to me, time is a big issue, and obviously making their car go as fast as possible. Those are the two things that they absolutely love and want to nail as best as they can. The question is then, and I've seen and I know becoming a titled partner just before the World Finals, and the fact that, in your words, Vishal, it's almost like a computer game. It is downloadable free for the students. How has that come about, Susan? Can you take us back to why you've done that and the impact it's having?
Yeah, so it's interesting how this kind of started initially. We had some student teams that are in the F1 in schools competition that actually came to us directly or through some of our channel partners, which are regional third-party companies that sell our products where we don't have offices. And, the number of teams kind of grew, and we had about 20 to 25 teams that were doing very well with our software. So we have reached out through the years and kind of, hinted with F1 in schools, like, we'd love to partner with you. But of course, Autodesk had, an exclusive partnership, which is great. But we actually have, through the years, also evolved our partnership with Autodesk. And we are a strategic partner with Autodesk as well. So the timing really became perfect for, Autodesk to kind of allow us to join the F1 in schools kind of partnership. And, with them really being the global leader in CAD software and us really being the global leader in simulation, this was a perfect marriage of opportunity for the students because now they have the best of both worlds. So that's kind of how the formal partnership, kind of began. But just so everybody knows, too, we've been partnering with student competitions at the collegiate level for many, many years. We have more than 1,200 student teams around the world that use our software at the collegiate level and, are competing in competitions like Formula Student, Hyperloop, SAE. So I'm sure many of the F1 in school participants one day when they enter college may choose to join teams like that. And the great thing and exciting thing about that is that they're going to be entering with a skill set of Ansys simulation that, in years before, those students were just starting to learn that in college. And that's what really makes us excited, is to really see kind of that barrier to entry lowered right before our eyes. It's just amazing.
Well, it's so many things there of the collaboration, which I love, you guys at Autodesk coming together. And even just before chatting to you, I'm looking on the website right now as we record this podcast. And by the way, can I also say, if you are listening to this podcast, make sure you have a look on YouTube as well, because Vishal and Susan look resplendent in their Ansys t-shirts, which have to be commented on, very much on brand. And the brand itself, it's just there on the website for any competitors in F1 in schools. You just download Ansys, and it says here, if you hit the model size limits, we can provide you with full version licensed products at no charge for your F1 in schools team. So it's all there, and it just makes it so easy for the students to get a one step ahead, like you just said, and other competitions. So when they do get to college, they're ahead of the game. I suppose, just going back a little bit, in terms of Ansys, what does Ansys do? People will have heard of it now, that have downloaded and ready to be one step ahead of their competition. But what is it that you guys do?
So we're the global leader in simulation. It's actually, if I could even take it back to when the company started, because it's really a cool story. Our founder was an engineer at Westinghouse, and he lived near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So if you look at our logo colors, the black and the gold, many people that are located in different parts of the world might not recognize, but these are actually like the Pittsburgh colors. So all of our sports teams, the Steelers, the Pirates, the Penguins, they all, have these colors. And it's very, it's to the heart of where we were headquartered originally. And he started Ansys on the side while he was an engineer at Westinghouse in his garage in 1970. And it was just him and one other person. And he just thought there has to be a better way of doing this. And, he did. He came up with the first, simulation software, and Ansys was born. And, Westinghouse, obviously evolved to be a customer and needs a simulation. But the cool thing is, through the 50 years or more than 50 years we've been around, we have grown mostly by acquisition. So we're very disciplined, and the companies that we bring in our portfolio, they're all in the simulation world in different physics areas. So, now today we're the global leader because we have industry leading solutions, not just in CFD and mechanical, but also in electronics and optics and photonics, digital missions, and so much more. And so because of that, we've really just, stayed very focused, hyper-focused, I could say, on that one area of simulation, and just chose to be the very, very best we could be in that area. Now we have offices in 40 different countries. We have more than 6,000 direct employees, many of them with expertise, PhDs and expertise in very specific areas. And then we have an even wider network of resellers that we call our channel partners. But, from an academic perspective, we have a very vibrant academic program. There's more than 2,800 universities across 86 different countries that use Ansys software for teaching and also research. So, that's really, I think it's critical I know the students in F1 in schools are using it for a very, we'll say selfish reason, because they want to perform well in the competition that they're competing in, right? But what the really great thing is, they're really preparing themselves for the career they're going to have one day if they choose a path in engineering, because, colleges are teaching with simulation software because ultimately, this is how problems are solved in the real world. And when, they enter their careers or maybe start companies one day, this will be the easiest way for them to drive innovation. So it's just really, it's a great example, I think, of all of the different reasons kind of why Ansys exists, why we have an academic program, and then also like orient to the next generation of engineers kind of all coming together.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And Vishal, I'm curious, is that what brought you on board with Ansys? It's steeped in history back for the 1970s of we can do more, we can get something sorted. Is that why you wanted to get involved in your work?
Absolutely. I love my job, particularly the profile I have, where I'm connected with, all of the academic institutions, partners. Even I get a chance to, get involved in different sort of competitions. Like Susan mentioned, we have our presence in for Formula Student Competition, Baja, Hyperloop, Rocketry, and now F1 in school competition. So it's very exciting to work with all these young minds to understand, what they feel about the technology, and also get updated myself with the ever changing technology. Every day the technology is changing, so we have to be on our toes to make sure that we are familiar with the technology and make sure that we are grabbing that technology and giving it to our partner and making them successful.
Yeah, I love that. It's interesting. I wasn't aware of this, and I feel like I should have been. Ansys is the innovation partner of Oracle Red Bull Racing, keeping it F1 related. How has the partnership benefited the team, and how do they utilize Ansys? Because many students, they're big F1 fans. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, immediately I was excited to know more.
Yeah, of course. So Ansys has been partnered with Oracle Red Bull Racing since 2008, so for quite some time. And I feel like that partnership has really evolved through the years. Initially the focus of the partnership was really on aerodynamic simulation, so very similar to why the F1 in schools competitors are using our software. But that has actually evolved, through the years to now also include things like solving cooling problems for them, managing and optimizing materials usage and IP, and just ensuring the vehicle is designed to protect the driver in the event of a crash. It's been great to kind of see the evolution of that partnership. And, the Formula One engineers obviously have a lot to balance from their perspective. They have a multitude of competing design objectives. And they have to think about that in regards to the various track conditions, et cetera. So, the engineers need multidisciplinary design optimization studies, and who's better to provide that than Ansys? We have simulation tools across all these different areas, which really, helps them quite a bit. They're using products like Ansys Fluent, which is a product that we make available to the F1 in schools students. So they're using that for CFD, but they also use our Granta MI materials information, as well as LS-DYNA, which is our crash analysis tool. And we have a really cool, we'll have to share it sometime in the future. We have a really cool Lego crash video that compares our LS-DYNA software with the Lego crash at the same time, so that like a young child can see like how the simulation works in a really easy to understand way. And it's so cool to see because, to do crash testing, I mean, one, it's very costly. But two, it's so time consuming and expensive because to do that over and over again with humans of different sizes and going at varying speeds. Simulation allows you to do hundreds or even thousands of those tests in the time it might take and the cost it might take to do just one physical test. So that's like that Lego video came to my mind because it's a really just cool example of seeing, I mean, you can see the parts coming off in the simulation and the real world literally look the exact same. It's amazing.
Sign me up for that, please. Sign me up for that. And I'm just thinking in my head immediately from the national final that we had in Sheffield for this year, there are a fair few breakages. And I'm curious in my head now, I'm trying to think, how would F1 students do that with the deceleration zone, with the halo, which is supposed to minimize on-track breakages? But within those simulations, they could start to work out what they could use. And I've seen many ingenious ideas of maybe having the rear wings that are magnetic, that come back and forth so that you don't... And it's got my mind already thinking, and I'm sure people listening right now will be doing exactly the same. Vishal, so if I'm a competitor and I'm thinking, right, this is it. This is the year. We're going to the national final, maybe even going to World. I download your software. How easy is it to access and start to use?
Okay. So we are providing two options for downloading a software. The first option is we have a free student version. You just go to our website, the academic section of our website, and download the product. It's an immediate download, no registration required, no questions asked. You hit the download button, student will immediately get the software in their hand. And on top of it, if students are crossing the student product limits, then they can apply for a software sponsorship with us. And once they apply, they just have to submit a one application form. It takes literally less than 3 to 4 minutes to submit that application form. Once that comes to us, we work with the student and release the licenses within like 4 to 5 days. So that's how the licensing and the access mechanism work.
And in terms of, so they're there, they've got it, 3 to 4 minutes. I think a lot of the students can spare 4 to minutes in their competition, because they always tell me how pressed for time they are. They've done that, and then they want to start testing, simulating. How easy is it for them to use, in terms of beginner level to kind of getting through it quickly? How easy is that?
Yeah. Okay. So we have a hero product. We call it as an Ansys Discovery. That product is specifically made for all the beginners who have zero knowledge about the simulation. So that product is has very user-friendly interface. Students can easily load their geometry in the product, and the workflow is designed in such a way that minimum user input is required in order to arrive with the end simulation results. So if anybody who is new to the simulation just want to explore that, then I would say Discovery is the tool to go for. And once they have experience with, dealing with simulation, results and everything, then after that they can, maybe jump to the next level, which is using Ansys Fluent for solving computational fluid dynamic cases.
Okay. All right. So that's good. So that reassures people, get involved, just do it, see what happens. And I'm sure they'll be hooked in no time. And further thinking and further down the line, what skills will they learn, Susan, through doing that?
So they'll learn a lot of skills. I mean, using our software is a skill in itself, right? No matter what you're using it for. One thing I wanted to add, I didn't want to interrupt you guys. We also have a couple innovation courses, actually a whole track. I believe there's 5 or 6 courses, and they're linked right on our F1 in Schools page, both on the F1 in Schools website as well as the Ansys website. And these courses were designed specifically by Vishal and also our support engineers who are experts in this area, with feedback from some actual F1 in Schools teams competing in the competition. And so these are for anybody at any level. So let's say you don't even know what CFD is and you're literally just getting started. The first course goes through what CFD is and why you would want to use it. Let's say you already kind of have your feet wet and you know that, you could jump ahead to the more advanced courses that actually help you get up and running with our software. And these are specifically designed for students competing in this competition. So all of the examples that we use and the items that we're talking about will resonate with the students as they're kind of going through and learning. And these are self-paced courses. You can take them anytime, hold your place and come back if you don't have time to finish it. So it's a great way to kind of get up and running.
I now have a sort of complaint with Vishal. Why were you so humble then? Vishal, you came up with this. This is the perfect thing for F1 in school students. You were just sitting on that. It was so humble.
It's my job.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. So, well, there you go. If you're listening right now, what are you waiting for? Go and do it. Check it out. And I suppose it's already been covered, Susan, but why, and the partnership that you have with F1 in Schools, and you mentioned at the beginning, 20 odd teams were using your software, and then you started to develop that relationship with Autodesk and with F1 in Schools, the perfect triangle right there. Yeah. That partnership and where you see it developing and going, what are your aspirations and thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, prior to this F1 in Schools engagement, our focus has really been at the undergraduate level. I mean, you would be hard up to find, a master's degree program in engineering that's not using simulation. But, at the undergraduate level, there's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, a lot of mechanical and aerospace engineering programs, do now have like a requirement to learn simulation. But in electrical engineering, there's still, a lot of progress that's happening, and in other engineering disciplines. For F1 in School, this was our first really large, I would say, kind of advancement in the STEM area, right? So high school or younger. We've had engagements at the high school level before, but they've been more like kind of one-off opportunistic opportunities, whereas this F1 in Schools was really This partnership was us kind of taking a step out and saying, like, this is a partner who we are is doing all the things that are aligned with things we care about, inspiring young women to choose a STEM, career path, making learning about STEM available for everyone, no matter what resources are around them. I mean, these are all things that we care about quite a bit. And then, of course, just inspiring, kids to be excited about potentially pursuing, a career in engineering or another STEM discipline. I think we're in the very early stages of the partnership, right? This is our first year, and we certainly don't anticipate going anywhere. We love what we're doing with you guys. So I feel like, the dream is like, this is, a big part of, how we will bring simulation to be like commonplace in high schools eventually. That will happen. 15 years ago, CAD wasn't necessarily used in high schools like it is today. That's been, something that's progressed through the years. And now you would be hard up to find, high school that has, a STEM program that's not making CAD resources available to students. I personally believe we'll see that same thing happen with simulation in coming years. And I think this partnership between F1 and schools and Ansys is really proving that that's possible. And I think that's really exciting. So I think the lowest hanging fruit, right, is what we're doing right now is just getting all these kids that are competing in the competition to be aware of what Ansys is and how it can help them. And, then really just growing the participation in the competition, side by side with you guys. And then who knows, the sky's the limit.
The passion that both of you and Vishal have is definitely there. It's sort of, I want to join in. I want to join Ansys immediately with that passion. And it feels like a slight appraisal, the chat with you guys. I feel like, yes, we should continue this relationship. It can only build and get better. And things like the World Finals, so many American teams compete. They bring an energy. They bring a passion, that's for sure. I think it's something that's very American within them. If you were to come to the finals, would you have to be impartial? Would you be supporting the American teams that would compete, Susan? Or would you, it's just a personal question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess not. I feel like I would be probably neutral. I mean, I think I might be impartial to maybe an all-girl team if there were any all-girl teams. But no, I mean, we have offices actually. We have fairly large offices in the UK. A big part of our academic team actually sits in the UK. So, we're very spread, and I feel like I would probably root for whoever is using Ansys the most and hope that, we can show the difference that our software helps them win.
100%. And I can assure you there are all girl teams that compete as well. And there's set awards for women in motorsport. It's a fantastic thing. And it is brilliant to see it grow. What are the biggest challenges? I want to sort of round out our chat because I think everything has just been covered so perfectly, and people will probably have stopped listening to this podcast right now to download the easy to access guides with the software and also the guides. But I just want to know more on a personal level, because I ask every guest what challenges they face in their job that they could then impart some wisdom for our competitors, because they're going to face challenges all the time. And I'd quite like to know, Vishal, you've set out the agenda, the things that you do. What are the biggest challenges that you face in your work, and how do you overcome them? Because our teams have team working skills, they have research portfolios, they have to sponsorship marketing. I'd just be curious if you don't mind, whether you could impart some wisdom.
Yeah, sure. So from the technical standpoint, you need to be connected with the fundamentals. You need to understand how software works and what kind of the equations getting solved in the software background, because software can show you any results. As an CFD engineer, or as an as an user of the software, we need to understand what results the software is showing us, and then you need to start understanding, interpreting the simulation results and make better the design decisions. So as you go on using the software, you get get that experience, and then you start to feel the software, how it exactly works, and so things like that. So basically, when somebody is starting, I would say we need to be very clear with our fundamentals that we learn in a class, And then once you get started with using a software, you connect those fundamentals with the kind of work that you do with the help of simulation, because fundamentals are not going to go away. They will always ask you a question when you solve, whether it's a basic question, basic problem, or the advanced problem, it will always come. So you need to brush up your fundamentals and then jump on the actual problem solving scenarios.
Brush up on the fundamentals. I like that, Vishal. Thank you. And Susan, as the Senior Marketing Manager, academic and startup programs, lots of skills that you use in your job. Any advice for the competitors, and obviously using Ansys and the software, but just mainly is that individual personal thing that you would like to impart, especially for people competing?
Yeah, I mean, I would say be willing to try new things and do hard things. I mean, sometimes I feel like we can all get caught up in how something used to be done or was previously done. Even if it was successful, that's not a reason to not challenge if there's a better way to do something. And I think there's a lot of aspects of that. Maybe that's, teamwork and who you're working with to get something done. Maybe it's, how you're going about doing it. Maybe it's trying something completely new, whatever it is. I think sometimes as humans, we like the consistency and the safeness of doing things the same. And of course that makes sense. And a lot of times we have to do that. But I think when you really venture out, I know at least in my role, and you work with somebody new, or maybe you somebody has a differing opinion than you, and you find that mutual connection where, okay, this is, you come to a conclusion that's going to help you and also them, maybe in different ways, but it's still that path forward is mutually beneficial. It's so rewarding, right? Whenever you do something new or something that you thought going into it was going to be very difficult, that sense of achievement, that sense of kind of pride in taking a new path. So I would say just don't fear that, be willing to kind of step into that.
Oh, I love it. Perfect. I really appreciate your time, Susan, Vishal. So lovely to chat to you. So brilliant to find out a bit more about Ansys and how huge Ansys is, and the role that you play with Oracle Red Bull Racing back from 2008, the work you're doing, and allowing our F1 in schools students to really get ahead of the game by using your software. I really appreciate your time and sharing those nuggets. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And really thank you guys for having this competition that is really an investment in our future. I mean, we should be thanking you.
Yeah, I have same feeling, Thank you so much for inviting us and, providing an opportunity to, chat on different sort of activities we are running for F1 in school competition.
Oh, brilliant. And Susan, you have to send me that link for the Lego simulation. Make sure we'll sort that out, but I need to close this podcast down. Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed it, make sure that you like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time with more brilliant guests.